I'm good. I have a cold, but it's okay.
Oh shoot.
I know. It just keeps on coming back over, you know. Uh,
A lot of people are getting sick these days.
I know. Everyone is. My brother was sick, you know. Some people that I talked to in Vermont were sick, but it's all good. So
Yeah.
what happened after the last time that we talked?
Yeah, I mean it's really amazing. It's just like I'm good. Like that's
Yeah,
how I feel. I just feel like something happened. I mean, it's
yeah,
like I don't really care anymore, honestly, to figure any of this shit out. You know, it's really beautiful. I mean, it's funny because I mean some of it still operates, but it's like I don't
yeah.
really care. And it just feels like a bunch
It,
of like playtime or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's really ordinary, isn't it?
It's just like I mean, I understand more the aspect of loss because it's like I've lost the need to know.
Yeah,
I've and I realize it's not that because nobody could know any of these. I mean, there's no knowledge that's even possible about that, and so it's
bingo.
right. So,
Yeah, so
oh,
it's futile, right? Trying to get to know something that is just impossible.
well, yeah, it's just like a figment of the imagination that there's something to be gotten to,
Yeah,
sort of like, right? I
yeah,
mean, it's like I was like what I was writing about it, and I was writing that there's about it in terms of it being so much catnip.
yeah,
Like like the whole idea of like I'm gonna figure out, well, this is funny. Okay, so
yeah,
like the like what has been like catnip for me in my mind has been things like, is there a self or is there not a self or is it a true self? Da 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 da, all that bullshit.
yeah.
Like, is there free will? Like some of that really gronky stuff. Like, this guy Bernard Kastrup. Have you ever heard
Yes.
of this guy?
Yeah.
And he's talking about idealism versus materialism, and
Yeah.
materialism is dead, and all of those kinds of queries. It's like so much catnip for me, you
Oh
know?
yeah, yeah,
And
totally.
it's like I'm kind of like
It's so
I'm sort of
intoxicating, right? Because like, oh wow, it's not
like
idealism.
maybe
Yeah,
they have it, you know?
yeah,
But this is actually funny because I was just taking a shower, and I was thinking suddenly I'm thinking about free will. And I have this idea about free will, which like it doesn't matter. Like I
yeah.
don't really even care. And I also realize that it's just more kind of um, you know, creating it's like creating a lather of understanding, you
More
know?
fluff, more static kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's
Yeah.
more like that. But I'll just tell you what I think it
Sure,
is.
sure.
I think it's
I
really
like
cool.
hearing about this, as you can probably
Yeah,
tell.
I think it's really cool. It's like so that um the thing about part of it is that, that what we think is free will is not what it actually is.
Yeah,
And what I'm realizing is that nobody has any purchase on the future, on anything that happens in the future, right?
yeah,
Right. And so then if we think that we have choices, we're not choosing anything that anybody has. We're only choosing between ideas of what we would imagine, what we imagine we would like to have happen, right? Like in the past, we like chocolate over vanilla ice cream or something like
yeah,
that, you
yeah,
know. And so we think that we're going to have happiness if we choose, the one that we chose before we had that pleasurable experience, blah blah blah. But the thing is that one, there comes a time when it's like, you know what? I don't like chocolate ice cream anymore,
yeah,
or you know what? The fucking factory fucked up and it tastes like shit.
yeah,
Or, they changed the recipe or just anything. I mean, it's like you're just choosing between ideas that you have about what the future might bring, right? And so that we don't really have any choices because the only
No,
thing that actually is
it
just,
appears like it, but we don't have any choices.
yeah,
There's an appearance, right? There's a belief that we made a choice, and that's the thing, right? Is that we're really just caught up in a belief system of who
yeah.
we are, the choices that we make, our belief system. But really, if you look at it, right, it's like we're not any different from that toddler. At least the toddler is happier, you know?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my kind of new idea, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. I mean, so, it's like whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I well, first, I mean, like, I just wanted to go. I wanted to see, like, I wanted to talk with you again because it was like, wow, is this sort of persisting, And it has persisted for a couple of weeks, and so that's beautiful. Um,
Yeah, it's been a
and
couple of weeks already, right? Yeah,
yeah, it's been a couple,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's been 2 or 3 weeks or
yeah.
something so that's definitely different. So it's making me realize that, like, when I talk to Jim and talking with you, that for whatever reason, it made a difference to actually have contact rather than just have it swimming around in my head because of, watching, um, YouTube videos or or attending
Those
like
meetings.
those ongoing Zooms.
Yeah, yeah. Or even going in person.
Well, I mean, it helped. I mean, or it seemingly helped. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. So,
yeah.
like, okay, so this is the other thing is like part of my question was like, am I going to go see Tony? And I decided I'm going to go see Tony
Why not? Yeah.
because I just seems like I haven't been to Europe for a while, and it seems like a blast just to see a bunch of crazy people like me and maybe
Yeah.
meet some of the it sounds like fun and also have a cousin in Amsterdam who I haven't visited for a long time. My dad's from Amsterdam
Oh,
originally.
cool. Are you Dutch?
So, huh?
Are you Dutch? Part
Well,
Dutch?
I'm half Dutch, I
Oh, you're
guess.
half Dutch. Yeah, yeah.
I guess
Cool.
I'm half Dutch. I don't
Yeah,
speak Dutch. I wish I did, but
yeah.
yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's like I don't know what there is to talk about.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Well, it's funny, right? Again, this is just a story. When we were talking, there was just already this emptiness there. Even the first talk, well, we only had one talk, right? There was already almost kind of like a click.
Hmm.
Um, it's like seeing through, not you, what I'm saying, just a click, something that just kind of like almost got unraveled, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think there's been some of that.
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
then when you said something about words and
yeah,
ideas, and there was something like it might it might just be my character or something
yeah,
that it really helps to have sort of a affirmation from another person.
yeah.
That helps me. And it was something about the way that you talked about words and ideas that was like, well, yeah, yeah, definitely. There's no putting this into words.
It's just
And
so obvious, right? Because if you really go directly, like if you're a good investigator, right? Where is this confusion coming from, right? And what people often miss is they get stuck in words, right? So, you know, um, but the words will just keep on going into a landing, an opposite or whatever, right? So, it's the same thing with people that are in awareness, right? Like they're concentrated about it's all awareness, um, and from the opposite spectrum, they'll say it's really nothing, so it's just playing with words. So if you see that both are just illusory, everything is illusory, not even just both, right? So everything that comes up now almost dissolves before it even settles in, because there's this emptiness in, like you see through it now, not you, but seeing through the the fallacy of words, right? The transparency of it, the idiocy of us believing in words, right? For quite a while, I was obsessed with awareness, right? And then I got obsessed with nothing. Then I got obsessed with there's no me, right? That kind of thing, right? All of that is just it's just like throwing sand up in the air, and it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like just putting it, I mean, it's like I do find myself, I still write sometimes,
Yeah, brilliant.
but you know, it again, it just sort of bubbles up and it goes back, and it's like it might be a little bit exciting sometimes. And
Yeah,
then, and then it just sort of falls away again, and it's okay. It's sort of play. I don't know, something like that.
for like a lot of, and this is just a story, right? For a lot of right brain people, that are artists, right? This basically kind of like becomes like an open door for any art stuff, right? Like
Mm.
I would stay up at night playing piano, and I'm like, what's going on with me? That
Oh,
kind of thing,
cool. Mhm.
or writing, or and it was just brilliant, right? Because here I was trying to be, the corporate dude, and then when I got the money, I was like, I'm not happy. So I went spiritual,
Mm.
and all of a sudden, both are just opposites again, right? I'm like, okay, I got it at the top of this. Like, like I was, my partners are like millionaire now. My ex-partners are millionaires now. So I got to the top of it. And then I
Mm.
got to the top of my apparent spiritual seeking, I guess, and it was just disastrous. It was the same as the material things. There was always going to be something lacking because the character is a lack. It's an idea of a lack. The moment
Mm.
that the I comes, the word comes, the belief sims, it creates this almost like this stealth lack,
Mm. Mm.
that
Mm.
there's a division basically, right? And we get addicted to ideas and ideologies and speakers and all that kind of stuff, and thinking that what they have to say is brilliant or whatever. um when everyone's just saying the exact same words.
Mm.
It's like going to a wolf pack and you're saying that that howl is much better than the other howl. Everyone's just howling at the moon, right?
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, I mean when I think about just more like practical problems in life, like jobs or relationships or, your physical health or something like that. I mean, it's like that stuff, it happens
Oh
and
yeah.
you still deal with it, but it's not like it's almost like nothing. It's almost like it doesn't depend as much or something.
No,
You know,
there's an easiness, isn't it, right? Do you feel like a lot more openness of what's,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
lightness,
I mean,
like relaxed, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, there's definitely been a lot of just beautiful feelings. Like, I'm really loving my home,
Yeah.
coming home, and like, I have a 3-day weekend this weekend. I had Friday off,
Oh,
and
nice.
it was just really beautiful just to be here. And,
Yeah.
when there's challenges, like at work, like I see clients,
Yep.
because I'm a therapist.
Yeah.
And so, and these clients they're not rich clients. I mean, they're clients that really like there's a lot of like poverty and drugs and
You're doing a lot of
difficult,
pro bono stuff.
huh?
A lot of pro
It's
bono
not pro
stuff.
bono, but it's just a poor population, a lot of people that don't have much money.
Okay.
And so I'm like, you know, I go through it just because it's very obviously, I mean, if I'm identified with it, you know, like I don't have any control over whether somebody, does something stupid, and I suppose they don't either. But it's like all you got to do is just ride it. It's just right. All you just
Yeah.
you just ride. You just got to
Yeah.
surf the waves, and that's all there. That's all there is, right?
Go with the flow, you know what I'm saying? Although that will try to evoke someone doing the flow, but the flow is the flow. Right.
Right,
And it
right.
doesn't really matter. Words, do you notice how words become so irrelevant now? Like whatever
Yeah, I
even
mean,
said. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like go with the flow doesn't I know when you say that you don't mean that just give
Yeah.
up all resistance or something. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes it's,
The
like
resistance is it too.
I mean, right, right. It's like if you're sailing a sailboat in a big storm, you're gonna freaking batten down the hatches.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna like it's gonna be hard. And I don't know. Yeah, so whatever. Yeah, you just yeah.
Life just simplifies, the way that I used to be such a drama person, a drama queen, right? That every time that like someone would have a problem, I'll try to fix it, you know what I'm saying? Or um if
Yeah, and if you have the energy, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you don't have the energy, you don't have the energy, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does totally. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like all you can do is what you can do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been talking, actually, some therapists have been booking me lately. I have another therapist that I talk to, and
Oh,
another one.
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like I'm attracting people that are at the end of seeking, so to speak, right? And again, that's just the story. And especially
Yeah,
with therapists, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of cerebral stuff, um, a lot of
yeah,
thinking, a lot of
yeah.
trying to, analyzing, criticizing. So it's so good to hear, like, this other guy that I was talking to is like, I guess this is it, right? He was just quite surprised that it goes, it's really simple. And I'm like, yeah, it's just really that simple. And the tendency for a therapist to go is try to hyper analyze things and everything. And I guess that's what you did before too. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
probably why the more intellectual speakers were more attractive for you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, and because you know, I I mean, I think a lot of times control it was a thing that was important to me. I wanted to
Yeah.
feel like, because I would say that like early in my life, I just felt sort of defeated by things, and I wanted to be able to prevent those things from happening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you kind of like try to almost like,
Steer the boat.
well, just almost like narcissistically, like I'm gonna, make something happen. Um and there's clients that are like that, and they're suffering, and so then you want to have some kind of effect on both yourself and on your life. And then it's like, okay, well, you just can't have that. So I don't necessarily tell people that,
Yeah. Yeah. Of
you
course.
know, I don't say things like, you know, well, you don't even exist. And,
I
I mean,
don't
there's
too.
been clients they're in a place where they can go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'll be like, well, what do you think about this? And they might resonate a little bit. But I mean, you just meet people where they're at, and you just, I mean, that's one thing that's neat about therapy, actually, at least the way that I was trained, is that they say that you can just you use yourself. Now, what they mean by that is that you just use what's happening
Yeah.
at in the moment. Like you say whatever, it's like you trust, and like
Yeah.
in what that the words are gonna somehow help. And
Yeah.
sometimes they do.
Yeah,
They,
you know what? And again, in the story, right? A good therapist or a good speaker meets where the character is at.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
meeting them where they're at, basically, right? So when they're ready to hear that the root of your problem is absent because the root of the problem is not even there. And
Mm,
then sometimes it takes them for a spin, like I was talking to this character that never really watched my videos and just jumped into one-on-ones, just watched someone
mhm.
recommended, right? And I can tell that this character was just like holding a seat like this, right? They're like, what are you talking about?
Uh-huh.
Kind of thing. I went gently though, right? I went
Yeah,
gently.
yeah,
And then it was just the most beautiful explosion of like laughter and crying, right? Because there was almost like, what the hell are you talking about? Right. But I can tell that there was this person has been seeking for a long time, has kind of like,
yeah,
tried to find the true nature of self. I'm like, where did I get you? Trying to look for this, true nature or the self, and everything goes, oh, I've failed miserably. I'm like, what if I tell you that it doesn't even exist? And I can tell right away it was just almost like backing out, like, what are you talking about? Right. But it's almost
yeah,
something that you inherently know, but are afraid to admit. It's
yeah,
something that is obvious, not by you, but by the absence of you, basically, right? And yeah, I wish I could have really released that, but it was too personal. It was a lot of not crying,
yeah,
like.
yeah. Oh, wow,
But it
wow.
was it was really great in that grand thing that he kept on trying to fight it big time, right? Fight it, fight it, fight it, fight it, fight it,
Mm,
fight it. He goes, what do you mean? So do you know more than all of these sages? I'm like, I'm saying that I don't know anything,
mm,
and all knowing basically just leads you to unknowing basically as well. It doesn't really matter what's being said.
mm.
So when all of the
It's neat that he was able to hear that because it sounds like that um it was really hard at first
oh my goodness, yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
hear that.
yeah,
That's like good for him,
yeah,
that he was able to be there. And,
yeah. I do like like a once a week with him. He booked me for like 5 more weeks or whatever, right? But
oh, okay.
it's the same
Wow.
conversation that we're having right now. Like, it's like
Wow.
because he's used to that therapy, like, he goes, do you do like 5 sessions? I'm like, sometimes one or two or three, does it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Mm.
because it's very simple. There's nothing really to do, right? There's nothing to maintain. Um,
Yeah, but I mean, if somebody feels like they need to kind of
oh yeah, yeah,
bring
yeah.
bring you through all of the journey and the paces and take it like a step at a time, like
Oh, totally, yeah, totally.
suppose.
It's
You
beautiful.
know,
It's beautiful
yeah.
to see. Yeah.
Um, so I was listening to this. Do you know this guy that does a YouTube thing, Guru Viking, by any chance? He's like an English guy with red hair. He lives in a little boat,
No
and
idea. No. Tell
anyway,
me about him.
he just interviews all these spiritual people, and he was interviewing this guy who was into Taoism, this young man, and so it was what was really interesting about it that it really helped me kind of confirm something that I've been
Yeah.
believing is that this Taoist guy is talking about how the spiritual people, like the gurus or the big wigs, that he's meeting, he called them like highly cultivated individuals and
Ooh.
and said deeply rooted individuals, right? Like, ooh, highly cultivated, deeply rooted. And these
Yeah.
are people that do all sorts of really intense practices. Like, for example, he talked about people who are into the martial arts and they actually practice getting kicked in the balls,
Yeah.
because, and maybe they wear a cup or something like that. But it's like in some of those regiments, like
Ouch.
people will, they'll like, I know, they'll catch you being unaware and they'll like tag you and like kick you in the balls, maybe not like to kill you, but,
Enough.
and it's like I believe that there are like you know, disciplines and practices that people can do.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like being like a virtuoso classical pianist. I mean, if you put in like, you know, the hours, if you know, whatever, you know, if you've, you know, played since you were, you know, 6 years old, you know, you there it's like the body will develop some interesting skills and abilities, but that's not what we're talking about here,
No, no.
right?
I went through that route, right? So you know, when I had about more than a decade ago, I'm really bad with timelines. I had a great, you know, Kundalini awakening kind of thing that I saw everyone as God and everything, and that kind of like prompted my spiritual teaching and everything, right? So to maintain that bliss, because it was quite blissful to be honest with you, right? It's like imagine seeing everyone as God and hugging everyone on the streets and thinking that you have a purpose now to help everyone in the street, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, I had to cultivate, you know, I've been meditating for a long, long time. So 2, 3, 4 hours a day sometimes, right? So for years and years,
Right,
and here
right.
was completely not touched any kind of like alcohol or anything like that, right? So I was feeling very, very clear, so to speak. And but what happened though is when the uglies in life come about, like death and separation kind of thing. I was in a, you know, long-term relationship that was ending. My mom basically had, you know, brain surgeries for her
Mm.
cancer. So any amount of cultivation, meditation, or practices, right, was not working anymore. I just wanted to be a mess. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to
Oh,
basically go with a few friends and just cry my eyes out and that kind of thing. But since I was already a spiritual teacher, I had to maintain that facade of peace and calm and everything, right?
oh,
Yeah.
I can imagine that.
So
Yeah.
I thought I lost my enlightenment, right? Because I could not appease or calm myself down when I would cry in the shower thinking about my mom. And I didn't think that that was, you know, I'm like, I don't think enlightened people or whatever had an idea of what it should be, right? Cries in the shower, thinking about their mom and everything. And
Mm.
so I thought I had to go to many gurus, right? So I spent my last fortune, you know, going to see some of these gurus sitting at their feet and everything. There was a time that I was planning to, you know, I told Tony this actually, that I was planning to move to Tony and walk nonstop at his park where he worked at. He walked that, right? Because I felt that I
You're
had
gonna
my
what? You're gonna walk what?
at the park where he worked at, walked at. And
Oh, you mean the part that you were gonna go to the park where
yeah,
he had his sort of experience or whatever.
yeah. And I was actually planning to put a tent outside his house, so to speak, right? And
You talked about
I would
that
have
like,
been,
but
huh?
you mean that sort
I
of?
did, yeah, at one point, right? um, when I
That's
told him
great.
about that, he laughed a little bit, you know, and I was desperate though. Like, you know, like I'm like, okay, maybe I will do the Byron Katie route, right? Of getting completely messy in life and getting drunk and everything and being in a halfway house with cockroaches, you know, climbing up your legs. So I got messy in a point, right, where I was like drunk and everything and I was crying and I'm like, where are the cockroaches?
Where are the cockroaches?
My friend was like, what are you talking about, man? I'm like, well, this is the other way of enlightenment. He goes, what the hell?
Oh,
Or I took some acid, like, you know, like yeah, what's his name, Eckhart, right? um I did the ayahuasca. I did everything. It was quite amazing.
oh,
um but none of it, right? None of
right,
it, none of it.
right,
Not even moving to Tony's or whatever, you know, kind of thing.
right, right.
Because no one can give you this, it's already right. So um and it's just an idea thinking that someone has this. No one's got this, right? So meaning it's
Oh,
already, yeah, it's already,
no, I think they've lost it. They've
it's a
lost
loss. Yeah,
they've lost that fetching desire to.
yeah. When there was a loss here, there was definitely grieving, but I was just so stunned. I was so speechless, right? I was just like, it I was just DJing, and all of a sudden, and this is just a story again, and all of a sudden I'm like, I could not find myself. So I was just speechless for a whole month. Basically, I could not, really do much. And I was just walking, pooping, eating,
Mhm.
doing cartwheels, jumping out of bed when I was
I wish I
wondering.
could do a cartwheel.
All I did a lot of handstand, you know what I'm saying, in my spiritual practice. So
Right, right.
a lot of Ashtanga yoga, right? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, there was a time when I did.
They're quite brutal, right? So it's kind of
Yeah.
I went
The,
to an Ashtanga thing, and of course, the Ashtanga has like this beautiful mantra in the beginning, but it makes me feel uncomfortable now. Like there's an allergic reaction to it, so to speak. So I walked in, like after they're doing the practice already, and the teacher, of course, said to me, "Next time you come in early, right? And I'm like, you can't really miss the, usually I forgot to lock the door. Like I
mm,
don't believe in that anymore. I said I like to practice though, so I
well,
get kicked out
they
of a
lock,
yoga class. Yeah,
if you can't
because
come in. Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
But no, I mean, well, it's like, um, I mean, that's part of, I guess, the difficulty. I mean, where I feel like I'm at right now is um, that it's hard to find people to talk with,
yeah,
when you're around, in this kind of area um, because I don't really take it very seriously anymore. It's like,
yeah. And
like,
if you go into that retreat, there's a lot of people that are just seekers. Like that's their identity now.
yeah, I mean, they're like so.
So into it. Yeah, it's
I
so
remember
insane.
being like so into books, and it's like this is the fucking Bible of da da
It
da da.
is. And they
I
don't
mean,
see that it's a belief system now, right? So they take every single thing that, Tony or Jim or even me sometimes, as gospel, right?
so yeah, I
And
mean,
it's just
they make it
fanaticism
a little
now.
bit harder. They make it harder than the gurus,
Yeah.
like 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 either the ones that say, well, you need to follow these disciplines.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, yeah,
I was talking to someone earlier that the first sign, you know what I'm saying, of the the seeming falling away, right, is just this beautiful openness, right? Everything is allowed, nothing is denied, basically, right? So there's just this immediacy of everything. And then the character wants to claim it. So it claims it's a no me.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you said that last time. Now it's just an idea.
It's just another idea, right? So when I
Another idea.
see when I see on YouTube and on Facebook, people are like, like they're non-duality polices now, right? It's because they've had a glimpse and they now claim that they are, they are the authority. They would say that, right? But they think that they're like, who are you speaking to? And I'm like, oh, come on, dude. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's so elementary, it's so kindergarten non-duality, right? It's like the policing. It's it's uh it's
Right,
like, there's no one and there's someone is the same statement. Who cares, right?
right,
So it becomes this almost like this what do you call it, a cult like thinking.
right,
Yeah.
right, right. Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting when I go to see Tony and go to that retreat
Yeah.
because I'm sure there's going to be people at all different
Yeah. Claire
places
is
with
great.
it.
Reach
What?
out to Claire is beautiful. Tony's
Oh,
wife.
yeah,
I love her.
she just emailed me about something about the retreat. So
She's a
yeah,
lovely, lovely lady. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I look forward to
Yeah.
her.
There's a joke around that Claire has more clarity than anyone.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. So, let me see. I mean, one thing I think that maybe is interesting to talk about is this whole thing about like character. Um, and I think like I guess I'm wondering what you would say about this. And maybe it's kind of a common thing, but I don't know. But it's like, um, okay, so in a way, maybe I can describe it like this. So when I was kind of into the whole like Gurdjieff thing,
Yeah, yeah,
um, they talked about that, there's I don't know if they used the word persona, but they talked about essence.
yeah,
Um, that there's an essence of someone, and there's kind of the outer personality. And um, the outer personality is a lot of kind of defensive stuff,
yeah,
just kind of avoiding just the that life's that life is sometimes really hard,
yeah,
and there's no shortcuts,
yeah,
and stuff like that. And that, so in a way, I kind of feel like I'm a lot of the sort of defenses and that kind of fake false personality
yeah.
is sort of falling away. And I know we're talking about this in terms of whatever,
Story. Yeah, yeah,
it's just idea. So, and that that essence is something that's more just about, it's almost just like life force. And I realized that um it's like the reasons that I used to do things were obviously because I was feeling maybe inadequate, and I wanted to feel really adequate and all of that stuff. And so like my motivation, um sort of my energy, my it's sort of different. I mean, it's and it's like, um
Is it crumbling apart now? That idea?
well, and it's like, I don't know, it's a little I guess it's a little scary. It's a little scary that I don't really care.
Yeah,
Part of me that doesn't really care as much. Um, like when I do things, like I used to really be into kayaking,
yeah,
into sea kayaking, and into surfing with our kayaks and stuff like that. And it's like it's a lot of work, and it's cold, and you wear a dry suit, and it can be dangerous and all
whereabouts
of
are
that.
you?
Huh?
Whereabouts are you?
Um, I'm on the Olympic Peninsula in Washington. I'm just like 15 miles away from Victoria, like on
Oh,
Vancouver
wow, wow,
Island.
wow. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just across the water from Victoria in on the United States side. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I used to be really into it. It was like my identity. And it's like, um, I don't um I'm kind of in a different place with that. My friends are kind of in different places. And like I went paddling about a month ago. It was fun,
Yeah,
but it's like, I'm not like, oh, here I am on the weekend. I have to go paddling, you know?
yeah.
And so I don't feel that drive. And so I'm like, I don't quite know what to do with my time, like my free time anymore. It's
That
weird.
seems to be like a something that when they do one-on-ones, they're like, what now? Right? Because all of those hobbies, all of those stuff that you did was almost like driven by your character as a
Well,
and
it's
as an
driven, I
identity.
would say
Yeah.
it would be driven by the personality.
Personality. Same thing.
Yeah.
Character,
And that,
personality. Yeah.
like, the essence is sort of like, it might be into doing some cool shit, or it might not be, but it's like, I don't get to choose that.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
with
so,
much with much respect to like the sages and gurus and Guru Jeff and everything, it just seems that it's just another concept that's made up. You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
like the idea of essence or
It's just
something.
another idea because I have never heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
right. So it makes you think that you know something that's special for you, right?
Well,
And
yeah, yeah,
similarly, people that listen to radical non-duality, they have the idea that there's no me. Same thing, basically, right? It's just another concept.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. No, I'm good
More
with that.
direct with the radical. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah,
This,
no, I'm not even getting like all esoteric with the whole thing about essence. I think it's more like just, on the ground, it's just weird, like to wake up and not be, I mean, it's so funny, okay, okay, to me, this sounds so a little bit silly, but like the other day, Joe Biden, he did his State of the Union address where he talks to the country, and there's this big election with Trump and all that. So I started watching it and I started bawling.
oh wow.
I'm like, because it's like the guy was, he's an older guy and he was like, he had some like spunk, he was like, he had fight and
Yeah.
he was talking in this clear way. And I was like, God, thank God, man. Because that fucking Trump guy is such like a dullard.
I don't follow politics anymore, so I don't know which one is which anymore. So funny.
Yeah,
It's
I
so funny.
mean,
Yeah.
but it's interesting that like there's something like, that happens like in the character or in the body or
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
responds that
Hey,
responds.
listen, I watch those animals reuniting with their owners, you know what I'm saying? And I bawl my eyes out, right? It's like, and I never used to cry, right? I'm one of those people that can't cry because when I was a little
But
kid, I
that
was
couldn't
trained.
cry.
I couldn't cry, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
so surprised. I'm just watching Instagram or TikTok and I'm like bawling my eyes out. I'm like, so
So
that's it too. That's it too. It's almost like an openness, right? It's like it's almost like, yeah, you probably felt the essence of what it was talking about.
yeah, well, or it's just that, um, it mattered. It matters to me. I mean, I would prefer, I'd prefer that, like I know that, you know, we're all gonna die someday. I know I'm
Yeah.
gonna die someday. Maybe this country is gonna, go to shit someday. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. You don't know. But it's like I would prefer, that some idiot doesn't, start, you know, controlling,
I get what
you
you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of
That's beautiful, Jory. It's beautiful, man. It's like watch when you start laughing for no reason, right? It's just, you know what, there's just this um we don't really laugh for any reason anyway. It's kind of funny, right? Because it's just thoughts and everything. Um
right.
so like like on my walk today, I'm like um of course I forgot my tissues for my cold and everything, right? So I'm kind of like, oh, who cares? I'll just use my shirt and everything. And I started laughing so hard. Just stuff like that, right? It's just what is. It's just what is the foibles and the ordinariness of life. And if I can laugh about a cold now, right? So it's like and this is so funny, right? Because I've been into greens and everything. And the moment I went to Montreal, right? Of course I did take my greens. I got sick, kind of thing.
Mm,
It's
mm,
just what it is. This life will keep on flowing. You'll cry, you'll laugh. There's gonna be grieving of what you once believed. There's
yeah.
gonna be colds and fevers and all that kind of stuff.
So what about people? Like that's another thing that's been going on with me is like the friends. I look at my friends and I look at the relationships that I have and they're okay, you
Yeah,
know. Um, I mean, but it's like even people that I love, it's like I don't want to be around them all the time.
yeah,
And it kind of it bothers me. It bothers me that like I'm thinking like what do I just like dislike people?
Well, you're not even choosing to do that. It just happens. Sometimes, people just fall out of our radar, right? People that we don't really kind of like resonate with anymore, so to speak. Funnily, right?
But
Because
that's so
I
lonely. That's lonely.
actually no, it's well, it could also feel lonely. It's okay. No, what was funny is because I was surrounded with friends, that were really my fake spiritual friends for quite a while,
Your
right?
fake spiritual friends. Yeah.
There was maybe one or two that I love up to this day, right? That I still talk to, because they broke through that our relationship was based on spirituality or non-duality or anything like that, right? So
Right.
what I saw was the immediacy of my high school friends, my people that I've been hanging out for like 30, 40 years, right? And I saw that, I was like, oh wow, there's actually what they know everything about me. They can make fun of me. They know all of my shit stories and but they still love me, that kind of thing, right? In the story anyway, right? So I find solace in that now. I hang out not all the time, right? But maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. I'm more of an introvert than everything anyway. And then the people that I do one-on-ones with, um,
It's funny that you say that you're an introvert. I wouldn't have guessed that.
yeah, I know. I know. It's funny. It's almost like a learned extrovert, right? Because my dad wanted me to become a leader when I was a little kid.
Uh,
Um, he wanted me to become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, a leader basically, like him.
yeah.
Um, I'm super content with just staying in my room and DJing and that kind of stuff, right? Reading. Um, yeah, I have maybe a few good friends that are best friends basically, right? So before, when I was in spirituality, I had to almost maintain like tons and tons of fake friends basically, like that. Um, we're just connected because we're doing something similar together, kind of thing. So that fell away as well because when there was uh when there was crisis basically with this character when I was going through tough stuff, those friends basically are the one that pushes you down. Because
Right.
it's all
Yeah. I
about
mean,
appearances, right? So it's like, oh, I don't want to be friends with that person anymore. Maybe save for one or
well,
two people that were beautiful, brilliant, that I still admire up to this day, right? So
but yeah, I mean, but that reminds me of like the kayaking friends is like, it's something that you do with them, right?
yeah, it's something that, and that's what it was, right? So we would go to, like, what's the next retreat, or, and of course, my status as spiritual teacher, was a good kind of like a social addition to their Instagram life or whatever,
Mm.
that kind of thing. But there's one that I love still, like we were good friends and everything. But the rest, it's almost like when you are on your they drag you to the mud basically because it's a lot of righteousness.
Right,
It's a
right,
lot of righteousness. It's a lot of like, oh, I can't believe he did that. I can't believe he's messing up. I can't believe that, that happened without even investigating what really happened. They just,
right,
it deteriorates their social standing, right? So they don't want
right,
to be when you are a popular, when you get canceled, no one wants to be friends with you.
right,
Yeah.
right, 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 right. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
A lot of people that I do one-on-ones with, like it's funny, right? The people here in Toronto, we hang out, we go out to eat. I love the idea that there's really no speaker, there's no guru, so there's just this normalness, right? There's no more hierarchies and this stuff, right? Even when I saw some of those radical meetings before, I'm like, there's still a hierarchy. Everybody's still adoring that speaker. So what this character does is I kick that stool. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, let's just go eat. No meetings, that kind of thing. Let's just eat.
yeah, you're the bastard child.
Of the bastard child, yeah, of of the
I've been
rebel.
I've been laughing about that. I really like
Yeah.
that. That's really good. That's really good. Because like I'm a little bit afraid that like with at Tony's retreat, I mean there's gonna be like 80 people there.
Yeah, 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 of
A lot of
course.
fucking, I wish
Yeah.
there wasn't that many people. I wish it was just like 30 or 40, but
But it's
I
mostly
mean,
the same people going back and forth over and over again. I used to help out with the retreats and stuff, right?
oh, did
So
you?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the same, it's the same people that are going nonstop
It's
over and
like,
over again.
get that out of your head, man.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But
The way that I like it, if you come to a retreat or two, I don't want you to come back, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because so I like keeping a small audience, right? Because it's like it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And if they want to come back, they just want to be friends and everything. A lot of people that I do one-on-ones with, I'm friends with right now.
Yeah.
We don't talk about non-duality all the time, but we go eat out and
Cool.
yeah, it's just normal, right? It's because any, you know what, it's it's a phenomenon, right? When there's a speaker or a teacher, it's an
Yeah.
easy pedestal right
Yeah.
away.
Well, like what I think that makes it so big, like spirituality is so big, is because if you get into like ethics and morality and like learning how to be such a perfectly good person,
Yeah,
and working on that, and then also if you get into like what we were talking about before is like I'm going to discipline myself to be very skillful in all these things.
yeah,
Like just like being a pianist,
yeah,
or that's like, yeah, you're going to have to work your ass off, but that's not what this is about. That's
no,
what I love about this is that it separates.
yeah, it is.
Like
It
Tony's message is like it's just forget about that stuff.
Yeah,
If you want to get into that stuff, fine. If you want to get into that
yeah, yeah,
other stuff, fine. But that's not what this message is.
no.
Just right. You
Yeah,
know,
there's not even a message really, right? It's just the ordinariness. The more that you see clearly the ordinariness of things, and the more that you see clearly the stickiness in things that are um fractured, basically, right? Because if you look at practices and that kind of stuff, it's fractured. You're still trying to fix something. There's something wrong still.
oh, right, right. Yeah, you're just, yeah, exactly. That's
There's still something, and there's nothing wrong with practice,
just
but
unending, right?
it's never ending, right? And
Right.
here
It's like,
is here is but the folly of this one, though, if you get stuck now in the ideas that everyone is talking about in this message, when you get stuck that there's a message,
right,
it's just
right.
another thing. Yeah.
Well, no, but that's what I think has happened with me is like, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah. In
I
our
get,
last talk, yeah.
yeah, it's like, thank you. I mean, it's, it's kind of funny. You know what's funny about this is because like when I was, you've been putting all these videos out about, um, like when you put the one-on-one videos out about people. And I was thinking like, oh, come on. I'll be honest with you. I was thinking like, come on, Emerson can't do that.
Yeah.
Like like what's he doing there? Like I don't believe it. And but like I said, when I saw that when I attended that thing with Josh and John Aston and
Yeah.
you, and there was just something about you that it was like, I could talk to him. I just want to talk to you. And
Yeah.
it just felt nice. And
There's no barriers, right? There's no I know something you don't, that kind of thing. And that's what usually appears in these conversations.
yeah, it just feels like that you're a good, like, what do you call that? A board something that you can sort of reflect back and forth on,
Yeah. Sounding board.
sounding board.
Yeah.
It's like you're kind of helping me to see. It's just so simple, isn't it?
It
God.
is so simple. So simple. And it's so simple to also get stuck in the ideas that it's, whatever, right? But it's so simple, right? It's when I talk to people that have been stuck in seeking for a long, long time, some few individuals, what I'm saying, that have been seeking for a long, long time, my heart goes out to them, right? It's like 30, 40 years, right? So it's almost like instead of going to a dentist and getting their tartar off their feet, right? Um,
To getting
they're
what?
to get the tartar off their
With
teeth,
the tartar.
the tartar, yeah. And it's just really simple, like it's just a cleaning because there's just a lot of built up plaque, right, in their belief
Right,
systems, and then
right,
they feel fresh after, right? They're like, oh wow, right? It's like, what the hell? It's
right,
just a,
right,
it's just a,
right.
and similarly, because I talked to a multiple audiences now, right? I talked to ex cult members. I talk to ex monks. I talk to people that in radical non-duality. I talk to people that are completely newbies at this, and it's the same thing over and over and over again, that there's something missing.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
but when it's seen that something is missing as a part of everything too, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and the one-on-ones actually, you know how many emails I get for people that thank me for the one-on-one video that I put out? Some people that have exhausted all of their money, you know what I'm saying? And they just watch the one-on-one videos and they click, you know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
wild, right? Because they're like, what the hell? They're like, okay, because it's easy to get used to watching this non-duality videos, including mine as practice, right? People are religious. They're like, oh, like when I don't release a video after 4 days, I get like tons of email. They're like, what is the next video coming out? Because they're looking
Right.
for their next fix, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And I'm brave enough to say that that's not going to fix you. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's even a meeting that I basically shoot everyone away in my meeting. It's just, it's just, I'm just really sincere with what I speak about here, right? And I just genuinely care. The character cares about others, and there's nothing wrong or right about that. It's just what is. And then someone will say, well, there's still a me there. I'm like, no, there's no me or no me. That's the thing that gets cut up, in the idea of it. So when you have an idea of how this should like, how this message should sound like, then you're stuck again, right? That there's a you that prefers this
Yeah.
or that.
Yeah. 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 No, to me, that's just more of that catnip thing,
It is, yeah, it is. I know this, right? That person is, that kind of thing, right? It's intoxication.
It- it's like it tickle. There's a little tickle, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, mm,
yeah.
you're good. You just don't realize it. You're fine.
You're fine. It's done. It's over. You know what I'm saying? It's just no matter what you think, no matter what you feel, it's done. And that's how simple it is. Because whatever you feel, you know what I'm saying, goes away like this cold. It's not permanent.
Right, exactly, exactly. That's like the chop wood carry water thing. Is
Yeah.
like you still have to chop wood and carry water. You just still have to deal with like this amazing like what the fuck is all this? Right? It's
Yeah.
like you get up in the morning and you have energy and you have a life. Like, I mean, something like that. I mean,
Something
it's
like that. Yeah.
something like that is like, what am I talking on the computer?
Yeah. Just like this other person, she dropped in the one-on-one thing, and then she was bawling her eyes out. She's like, what is this? What is going on? I'm like, I have no idea. And that's what's so great about it, right? It's just like, this is beyond your ideas. And she was
Right,
just kind of like, it's just like, wow, all the time I was stuck in my ideas of what this should be, and I'm missing
right,
out on the
right.
simplicity of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like sometimes I say like it's prior to all your any
Yeah.
idea. Like
Yeah.
what is it? It's like what are you before any cognition or anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that's what you
Yeah.
were
You
saying,
can even
right?
go, it's prior to prior, even the idea of prior. Just to kind of like
Right.
just seal
Like
the deal. Poof.
right,
Right?
what does that mean?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
does that
Yeah.
mean? Prior to prior, but there's no time, kind of
Richard
thing.
Pryor.
Richard Pryor. Do you remember that movie, that Trading Places?
Um,
80s, 80s.
Is it with Gene Wilder?
Yeah.
Because my
Yeah.
brother just told me that he said you gotta go see more Gene Wilder movies because
Gene Wilder movies are great.
there's like a documentary about Gene Wilder. He just told me about. So
Yeah, yeah. I love
I
Gene
don't
Wilder.
remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember that movie, but
yeah. I
yeah,
like the Willy Wonka from Gene Wilder the most, right? So there's more stuff that came out. Like, it can't compare. Yeah, it can't compare. That was the Willy. I don't know why they even remake it. You know what I'm saying? But that's this old fashioned character here.
money, money,
Money,
money.
money, money. Yeah.
Oh my
But I
God,
can't wait to see Dune.
what's that?
Dune, like the Frank Herbert.
Oh, Dune. Oh,
Dune.
Dune.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
thought you said I thought you
It's
said
my
Dune.
Filipino accent and my cold.
It's funny. I thought you said dude. Like, oh,
Dude.
like there's some new movie out called Dude, which would
There
be,
was a Dude movie with Steve Martin. Was
was
it
there?
Dude?
I don't know, but it would be
With
fun.
Gilda Radner.
I
My
don't,
age is showing in this talk.
dude, I don't know if there is, but if there isn't, hasn't been a Dude film.
Is it the Dude film? It's with
It,
Steve Martin. It's like he was a country bumpkin, and he was with was it Bernadette
it,
Peters
says-
or
it says 2018. It's yeah, no, it's not.
it's
Unless
called The Jerk.
sure.
1979.
Right. Yeah, I remember that movie. Yeah,
I
that was good.
remember that movie. That was really good. That was
Yeah,
really
that,
good.
that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Dude.
Yeah. That just came up. I don't know. No idea. But
But
yeah,
no.
I watched this movie called the Spaceman with Adam Sandler. Um
Oh, yeah,
he's
that came
serious
out.
in it. You know what? It's funny because my generation loved Adam Sandler, Waterboy, all that kind of movie, but I could not get into it. Right? It's just not my
Yeah.
kind of humor, so to speak. I like
So,
I like
so,
the dark
so
comedies.
it's not a comedy, Spaceman.
No, this one is it's more like an exploration of what is.
Is it good?
I
Or
liked it.
you couldn't get into it?
I liked it. I liked it. I liked it. Yeah, I like the ending of it. It's kind of like a mishmash of many movies. Like I like Kafka's Metamorphosis. So there's a aspect of that there. I also liked the Space Odyssey, right? So there's
Oh God, it's incredible.
yeah. So there's this kind of like almost like a rustic feel to it. It's not too polished. It's not doesn't look like
Oh,
like a computer generated sci-fi movie and everything, right? Like the ship looks like it's in this array and um
hey, have you seen Solaris?
I really like that movie too.
Isn't did you see the original one? The one that the
The
like the
older one,
Russian?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a
Isn't
good
that?
one.
Do you like that?
I
That's
like
so
that, yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what's
good.
funny, right? Because when I was seeking, I only watched spiritual movies and I binged watched like a whole bunch of trash TV after, right? Because there's just this freedom. Um, and I watch a lot of like movies that I would never watch and everything, right? So there's so many great cinema out there, right? So many. I'm actually going to start like a non-duality cinema videos.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I can get you as a guest. We'll talk about Solaris or something. Oh, I'll watch it again.
I would have to watch it again too.
Yeah, I haven't. The Solar, the first one was better, I think,
Yeah, I
than the
think so
second
too.
one. But the second
Oh
one
yeah,
was not
yeah.
that bad. It was not that bad. It was not like it didn't trash it basically, right? So it still felt I can't remember much, but it felt
You
like
know what was so
decent.
great? Actually, you know what I really liked about the original Solaris is that it is very like unclear about what the hell is going on. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
sort of
That's
like a
right.
non-duality thing is
It is. Yeah,
like they don't really give you any answers and you're just
yeah.
like left like, what the hell was
You're
that?
left hanging basically. You're like, what the?
Yeah.
I
Yeah, you
like
just
that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I remember that.
exactly.
I love that feeling at the end of the movie when you're just left hanging. I don't like to be spoon fed at the ending, or you know what I'm saying. I like the cerebral type of movies that
Right.
makes you can like,
Well, yeah, like that's interesting because you talked about 2001 and
oh, I love that movie.
everybody's always like, "Oh, what happened at the end?" And I found and there was some YouTube video that was talking about what
Yeah, I don't
the
watch those
character
explaining the
thought was,
endings.
huh?
Explaining the endings, right? Like someone's opinion about the ending.
Well, it was even like what like Kubrick thought it was about, and it kind of ruined it for me because it
Yeah,
was because it
that's why
was
I don't
so
watch those videos. Yeah,
defined,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's bullshit. That's not what it's really supposed to be about. It's supposed to just kind of let you,
Because
well,
you know what, another Kubrick movie that got ruined for me was The Shining, right? So they analyzed it to bit, and I'm like,
I'm
oh,
glad I've never watched that movie.
it's beautiful.
Never watched that.
It's beautiful. Yeah, you know
Beautiful.
what? It's beautiful. It's very stark. It's very raw, right?
Really?
Of it's got this, and the sets are amazing, right?
I
So
thought
it's
it
like,
was just a terror movie. Like,
no. Like it is disguised as a terror movie, right? Of insanity and everything like that, right? But the visuals are great too.
oh,
Well, I'm a fan of Kubrick, right? So,
I like Apocalypse Now.
oh, me too. I
Do
watched that. You know when they did the Redux in a theater,
you like
and they
that?
also filmed it in the Philippines, which is my country, right? So
Oh, right, right.
the amount of destruction that they did to that country just to film that. But you know what? I appreciated it, right? But yeah, it's you see kind of like like big portions of land just getting blown up, right? It's just like, but I guess Kubrick was trying to portray the horrors of war, and he did it so well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's one of my I my one of my top movies there is Apocalypse Now.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
no doubt, no
yeah.
doubt.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? When there's nothing to do much, right? There's just an enjoyment of the art that's around you. There's so much out
Mhm.
there. There's going to be some grief that happens of stuff that doesn't make sense anymore. Like I tried to go back into kind of like a wellness community and everything, right? But it was just so much into self-improvement that I'm like, oh, I can't. You know what I'm saying? It's like I
Yeah,
couldn't do it. I
yeah,
couldn't do it.
yeah. No, somebody invited me to this kind of interfaith kind of spiritual book reading club. And I was
Yeah.
like, they're reading some book called The Ladder of Light.
Oh no.
And I don't know, I was just like, I don't think I can do this. And
Yeah,
so
that's what happened here too, right? Like I'd rather go hang out with friends and eat and watch a movie and and just explore life, right? Um the non-duality always comes up though, right? Like especially if they know that you're a speaker, they'll ask you questions, but it's a very minimal part of that.
uh,
It's just like, oh, you're a nurse. What do you think of colds? That kind of thing, right? So it's not my whole identity now. It's beautiful, and I think that and this is just a story again, right? I like the way that this is happening is because I don't have any followers really that are fanatic and everything, right? Because when they meet me, I ruin it for them, right? Because there's no pedestal. There's just no pedestal anymore. It's just really
right,
friendship. Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I wouldn't mind being part of some kind of get together.
Yeah.
And I guess I could join, and then if I didn't like it, I could say like, you know what?
Yeah, you know what? It's
Oh,
gonna
it's
it's gonna
for
appear as
me.
whatever, right? It's like for some odd reason, I just really since I'm an introvert, I don't really like going out anyways, right? So I DJ anyway. So if I want to go out, I just DJ. And
Yeah,
and that's fun actually. It's kind of
yeah,
funny, right? Because I get hired as a DJ because I can go there and leave um without a trace, basically, right? So DJs usually like getting completely, well, not all of them, but some of them get completely wasted. I was one of those, like after a DJ set, then you just become the life of the party. And then people invite you to go to their houses and everything to have another after party, that kind of
right,
thing, right?
right,
So there's
right,
almost like a detachment now. They're like, you know what? I played a great set. I'm going home. See you guys later. That kind
right,
of thing.
right. Well, it
Yeah.
just makes me think about like creating art or music or something like that.
Yeah.
That in the old way, it's like a, a person might think that it's got to be about something.
There's an
You've got to be
agenda always. There's always a
like
hidden
like you're
agenda.
really saying something
Yeah.
rather than, you know what? I just kind of
This will
like,
get me a lot of dates. This will make me look
for
better.
that too.
People,
But I guess
yeah.
I'm thinking like, what if we just kind of like, it's more just about, well, I threw this stuff together and it's kind of interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it. I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
Sort of
Totally.
that. I mean, so that would be, maybe that's more of
It
because I
is what
mean,
it
but
is, right? Everything just seemingly flows, and that's what's so fascinating, right?
yeah.
Because um
But for an
I don't have
introvert,
any
it's hard to do that for an introvert,
oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
right? To kind of go like, yeah, I'm going to put it out there. Like you've done that, I suppose.
Well, you know
Um,
what's funny, right? When I was first interviewing people because I was with Nothing Media,
yeah.
I edited myself out of all the videos.
Oh,
Yeah. And then and I just got, I was just doing so much. I got lazy and everything. I'm like, oh, who cares and everything, right? And all of a sudden my face was all over, talking to all of the speakers and everything. But there was already clarity. There was already clarity there, right? Like even when I did those meetings with Tony and everything, they would trust me with the breakout rooms because they're like, you have a lot of clarity already, right? So um because usually what it, with radical non-duality especially, there's a lot of machine gunning and everything, right? So a lot of people are left devastated. And uh, oh my goodness, Claire does the hand holding at the end, right? So um
Mm,
but yeah, so you'll
mm,
see a lot of people that seemingly gets, devastated and everything. So there's a holding hand, which is Claire. That's why I love her, right? So
mm, mm.
she's just
She
an
just
awesome
hangs
person.
out.
Yeah, yeah. She hangs out. She cares. She talks to people.
How do you know how old Tony is now? Because
I
I
have
know
no idea.
he's
Yeah,
kind of getting to be hard of hearing, right?
yeah. The last time that he messaged me is when my mom was in the hospital, which was a few months ago, right? So
Uh,
yeah, I yeah I don't remember. Yeah,
he's probably like, I'm thinking he's probably like 80 something, right?
yeah. I'm not sure. He seems
Mhm.
very vibrant still, though. You know what I'm saying? He's still got
Good,
that.
good, good, good. No, I mean, I want to see him just because
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
it's like, that's what a great message, non-message. I mean, isn't it amazing that like these videos and what somebody can say can just bowl you over? I mean, that's it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it is, right? So when I used to do these videos, I always said this. People would ask me if I wanted to be a speaker, right? They're like, "Oh, yeah, it's a lot of clarity there, Emerson." I'm like, "Oh no, there's already a lot of great, speakers that are, very, very smart at doing this and everything." And then when I started speaking, I would, like people would be like, "What the hell?" So it chops off heads basically, right? And it especially the one-on-ones that happen, right? Because it's very direct and very kind of like, it's like, no, you don't know what's going to hit you because there's this friendly smiley guy, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
um Basically spitting out some daggers basically, right? So it basically it's just killing concepts and killing, although that's a concept again, right? It's just
Killing you softly with
with these,
song.
yeah, that's the one. Oh, should have to go soon, but I'm gonna stop this recording.